official for 50-something, almost going on 60 years, and I only officiate 4. Okay. And there's probably a reason why I only officiate the pole vault is because of the seriousness of this event. I was a former vaulter. My son right there is 17 former vaulter, and I had athletes that were Olympic 18-6 jumpers, Olympic qualifiers of our program. And I'm going to try to set the tone of this today to show you the importance of why this event has to be done the way it's done. And one of the ladies, when I was officiating just a couple of weeks ago over at the MAC, I had a couple of ladies approach me. They said, Mick, we don't have enough ladies officiating the pole vault. Would you please put on a clinic just for the gals? What are you guys doing today? What are you smiling, Shelby? Shelby's one of my former athletes. Let me introduce you to him. He was on the team, and then the fastest time in the United States at 300 hurdles. Missed Nehemiah's record of 35.8 and then 36 flat. Set the state record here, All-American University of Michigan. He's a coach. He has a state championship for track team, so am I proud to have one of my athletes here? You think that yes. Well, anyways, they approached me at the university there and said, look, we need to have a clinic just for the ladies. And I said, really? We have to get more ladies in officiating. We don't have it. I said, more. Shonda, she was supposed to be here, but they approached me with 5 or 6 gals, and I called Dr. Zepper, and he said, Nick, he said, we'll do it, but this is the date we have. But unfortunately, tomorrow was Easter. And most of the ladies that wanted to be here, people coming in, they have trips that they plan. And so I told Doc Semper, I said, can we do it another date? He said, Nick, no, it's the only date that he has available, the only date we have available. So we have to do it today. And we had the one lady that's coming right here. We better wait for her.
We give her a round of applause when she gets over.
Yeah, let's give her a round of applause, okay?
And give her that yellow packet when she comes.
Yeah. No, she's got one.
Oh, okay.
Nikki, she's got one already.
Wait, did you applaud when someone's late for the meeting?
Oh.
Yeah.
Nikki, she has one already.
Oh, she has one? Okay. Okay, give her a round of applause, you guys. You said you want to clap for her. Okay, so then what I told the ladies, they said, you know what, I'm going to dedicate this entire situation to the ladies, okay? Because I would be very, very honored at one time to go to a big meet and sit in the stands and see a whole lady crew take pole. To me, that would be the most exciting thing I could do. So, gals, I don't know how we're going to get them involved with it later on, whether he can set up another clinic for them or not, but I'm dedicating this to you ladies. Okay? And the reason why is, okay, you know, I got this philosophy. You must be silent in order to listen. You must listen in order to learn. You must learn in order to prepare. You must prepare before you can serve. You must serve before you can lead. That's what I told my students and my athletes, you know. But guess what? I don't want you to be silent today. I don't want you to sit there and just listen to me. I'm going to try to get everybody involved with this. Okay? So you silent in order to listen. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to dedicate this to the ladies, and I'm going to tell you why. If you go to page number 1, first of all, anytime I do a clinic or whatever it is, you know, a speaking engagement, I have to thank my wife for 60 years, high school sweetheart. And anybody who's put the amount of time in officiating and coaching that I did before, so I'm not. And hey, Christopher, anything that happens at this clinic stays at the clinic. What I'm going to say, got it? That's what well, anyways, a tribute to the ladies. Could you read that, please? Hey, you know what? Here I'm 83 and I don't have to need glasses to read. I see long, I see fast. Really, it's not usual. But I'll read it. Or does somebody want to read it? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Tribute to the ladies' salvation and saviors. 25 years ago, coaches throughout the nation were becoming involved in a political push to eliminate the pole vault event. It almost became a reality. 5 years later, the ladies were given permission to begin vaulting. They added such a, quote, special flair, unquote, to the event that made it what it is today. They became the salvation and saviors of the event. The guys owe a gratitude of appreciation and thanks to you, lady pole vaulters. Thank you to all the men that became a part of our crew throughout my 60 years on runway. To name a few: Dave Woolley, Tony
Bonacci.
Jim Roth.
Okay, right there, stop. With Jim Ross and Bruin Thomas, they were on my crew for many, many years. I've done this for over 55 years. They passed away. So I just like to mention them. They were really, really great people in track and field. So go ahead.
Bruin Thomas, Mike Turcheck, Mitch Garner, Ron Buchanan.
You know Ron Buchanan? That's him right there.
Paul Seeley, current Roland Jertsevit, 12 years. Newcomers Mike
Kevin, that's this gentleman right here.
Okay,
He's the
very
one
good.
that got the facility for us, by the way, to do this. He's a graduate of this school.
Jerry Bruce, and a special thanks to Tom Murray, 15 years, my traveling partner, who's my go-to early morning setup buddy. My son Christopher, former
That's
vaulter,
right there.
for helping out when needed. Lastly, special thank you to Dr. Eric Zemper, who quote, forced me to become a master level official. What the heck was he thinking? What was I?
Well, there's a story behind that. What the heck was he thinking and what the heck was I? When I was officiating, then they decided they're going to start certifying all the officials, which I did. I got to level 1. Well, I had this luminous figure always looking over my shoulder, seeing what I'm doing. What am I doing? What am I doing? So finally, after 2 years, he comes to me and he says, Mick, he says, I want to do something. I said, what do you want to do? I want you to go to master level. I said, I don't want to go to master level. I don't want to be master level. He said, you're going to go to master level. I said, no. I said, I haven't gone to, I'm level 1. I got to go 2, 3, and national and level. He said, Mick, we're going to bypass you all those levels. You're going right to master level. Well, he didn't make it easy. He said, but you're not going to get off that easy because it takes 10 or 12 years to get up to that level. He said, you're going to have to get 5 recommendations from 5 college coaches. You're going to write a paper on your philosophies. You're going to take the book, all 3 books. You have to know. I took a 100-question test on that. It took me 40 hours to finish that. It's an open book test. You guys know about that. And then he said, you're going to teach a class on how to officiate the pole. Well, I did all those things, and here I am. Okay? Now, I want to set the tone of this thing really, really important. And I wanted to get LaShonda here. She's the one that set this up, and I wanted to thank her especially. But one of the things I do when I officiate is I go to the room where they have for the officials, a meeting room and all that, and they have all the goodies there. I always steal a case of water, and it's a case of bars, health bars, and I have the little things. So when we get our crew and they're officiating, I make sure my crew is got to keep up their energy levels, right? You'll see. So if you folks would like to have a water, be my guest. I didn't steal that from anyone. I had to buy that one. Okay? And I always give them the health bars, but if you would like one of these are really, really great. Try them, you're going to get a book now. Anybody want one? There you go. I give these constantly to my crew. Anybody else over here? Come on, give it a try. These things are great. And they're all natural, no additives.
Thank you.
Shelby? Ron? Christopher? Mike? Okay. All right. So, keep your energy levels up today. So hopefully we're going to get this thing straight up there. Let me go through some of the things here. I would like to ask, first of all, if somebody would give me your reason for coming to this clinic. Why? Tell me what, this is your not being silent. Yes, ma'am.
So Eric told me about 2 weeks ago, you can't learn this by sitting on the sidelines. You gotta attend, you gotta participate, you gotta just start. And so I was a little intimidated because I just started officiating recently, but I thought this is not a sitting opportunity. You have to participate, get involved, and get comfortable.
That beautiful lady just gave a pretty good interpretation. Christopher, what happens here stays here. You get my point here. Thank you. Anybody else want to offer why you're Ron?
I'm here because you are my master. I've been following this guy since high school. Anytime you want to challenge yourself, you should. It enhances you as a human being. I'm a distance runner. I decided I'd go with my mentor here and learn the sport of pole vault. And I have 10 years under your tutelage, and I think I've pretty well learned a lot. There's still more I can learn as I get exposed to national levels. But you have to learn the nuts and bolts of it, and nobody better than state.
That's not true. Because I'll tell you why.
Nobody better.
That's not true.
I can say that.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I'm here because I continually pick things up. So I'm here for hopefully something new. And I'm here slightly out of frustration because sometimes as a novice, I think I pick something up and then I go somewhere else with a knowledgeable person and they tell me, no, that's not the way it's done. And then I'm like feeling like the guy in the middle because I don't know and I got two good people telling me a different story.
Well, if you read page number 3, my philosophy and those types of things. And the second paragraph down, my philosophy that I adopted as an educator, coach, and official over the years, the past 50 years, was directed in terms of evaluation. Okay, evaluation. If we see potential in others and we treat them as they are, we make them worse. However, if we treat them with what they have, the potential they have in them, and we try to bring out that potential, we make them better and ourselves better. I hope to take something out of this clinic today by somebody that say, hey, look, maybe you could do it this way or maybe you could do that. Well, what I'm saying is I don't want to pretend like I know everything. I'm not the top official. Here's one of the top officials right here, this gentleman right here. Okay? This guy I've learned a lot from him. He watches what I do. He critiques me. And I want to be critiqued. If I said something that's out of context, that's fine. Okay? If I said something, let me know. Okay? So the situation is, I don't want you to think I am standing here because I am the ultimate authority that knows everything. I don't. But I'm willing to learn after 55 years. If you think you've learned everything, don't quit because you're over the hill. Over the hill? Don't take that on history. So anyways, it says if you just look at people for what potential they have in them and try to bring out that potential, then you have become the success. Okay. Anybody else want to offer their opinion of why they're here? Go ahead. Mitch?
Yes, I'm here because I love the sport of track and field, running, and I've dedicated my life to service to others, my family, my friends, my church, my sport, my fellow officials, the athletes. And that's one of the greatest thrills I've had in officiating is when, especially pole vault, I see an athlete come to one of the events and that athlete achieves a personal best on that day. And I think I go home that day a happy camper. I say, I was helpful, and of course we're supposed to be invisible, but it gives me great pride and happiness to see an athlete achieve his or her best as it
bringing out the full potential of that athlete, giving them a fair competition, and they do their best, and it's a personal best. Nothing greater.
You just express me. That's the way I am also. We go to the events and I have a crew. Most of it, Mitch has been on my crew for how many years? Several years, many years, okay? Some of my crew isn't here today. He's an attorney. He's on the USA board, USCA Olympic Committee. So it's good to have a guy like that when you're officiating the pole vault. If something goes wrong, he'll defend you, right? One of the other guys on our crew is a guy named Roland Jersevic. Roland Jersevic is also an attorney.
Yes.
Graduate of the University of Michigan. And Roland is probably the #1 attorney in the state for handling Supreme Court cases. Okay? And he came to me, he was officiating all these different events, and he came to me and he said, Nick, he sent me over here to learn the pole vault. You sent him over there, Doc. You don't recall, but you said, go on over there, you want to learn the pole vault. He said, for 2 years he sat right next to me. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? So finally, Mitch and some of the guys on my crew said, okay, Nick, enough is enough. Give him a job or we're quitting. I taught him how to do 5 Alive. Well, 5 Alive is probably one of the best things you can do if you do it right. If you use magnets, if you'll notice on my stand here, I have, it's metal. We use magnets. All you do, you don't have to erase and mark down one. You just move the magnets down, down, down. It's so easy to do. If you have 50 vaulters in a competition and they're all coming in at the same height, you got 50 vaulters and you got to go through the whole list right now? Holy mackerel. 5 Alive keeps them going, going, going. And I don't know why they dropped it, and that's my appeal to these two gentlemen. I'll start a business.
High school still allows it.
Yeah, okay, if you aren't realizing that I would start an appeal to you folks to bring it back and teach people how to do it correctly. Use the magnets, and it's so simple.
Did it right.
If you did it right.
Yeah, if you do it right, but
Nobody does it right.
was doing
Because they use a pencil, and they erase, and they keep going down. The magnet, you just move it down, move it down, move it down. You get 9 or less, you abandon it, right? You know that. So, pardon me?
You tape playing as well. Could do the same thing as the magnets.
Yeah, it's the same thing. And you just don't have to erase anything. You just keep moving it down. And you have one that says, what the previous jumper. We did the relays over here at Hillsdale a couple years ago. 138 vaulters. 138 vaulters. They had 4 warm-ups. An elite and sub-elite for the guys, an elite and sub-elite for the girls. We finished that meet before the end of, we finished the pole vault before the end of the meet. Because we did the 5 Alive and we did it everything. I'm going to show you how we are one of the most efficient crews that you can get, how we run the pole vault off, and how we get a jump off every 25 to 35 seconds. And if we don't, we try to analyze why something's going wrong. Okay? Well, if you've been around the pole vault, what's some of the worst things you've observed?
Vaulter goes into the standards.
I'm talking about worse than that.
Over.
What?
Pole snaps.
I've been on 5 of them. I even got cut on my side when I vaulted.
Already interference.
What else have you observed?
So, last year's we rode the pole up and rode it back onto her back.
Yeah.
Beyond the pit.
See, everybody's getting involved with this. This is what I want. What have you observed? I'll tell you what I have observed over the years. I vaulted in the days of steel pole and sawdust pits. And when it was raining and you got in the sawdust pit, you thought you were watered in sawdust because you came out looking it's all over you. It was crazy. I vaulted at the very first meet down in Kentucky, University of Kentucky Lake, down at Lexington. They had, their pit was cinder blocks. They didn't come out like this. It was cinder blocks from the back of the box all the way around. Sawdust in there. One of the vaulters missed, hit the cinder blocks. Compound fracture, the bone came through the leg. I have seen broken arms, broken legs, twisted ankles. A couple of years ago at Hillsdale, the official did not adjust the rubber on there. I didn't officiate that. It came down, it came off. You're supposed to measure that. Came off. It was up left side like this. The ball came down, lost his eye.
Which
Pardon me?
piece you kept not adjusting?
Well, the end of the crossbar right there is rubber, and it was way out. It was way out. And when Walter hit it, it went down like this. The crossbar went up like this. He came down, lost his eye. We're going to show you how to do all this logistics of measuring the bars and everything you have to do. Dr. Hampshire, what happened a few years ago in Minnesota, Big Ten?
Yeah, Penn State in 2003, I think it was. Went up, came straight down into the box, died.
Walter, Big Ten championship, the best Walter in the field, got disorientated, upside down, vertical. Came down in the box on his head, and died right there. Okay? I'm trying to set the tone of this event to show you that these things can be eliminated if you are on top of the game. You as coaches, high school coaches, 90% of your litigation lawsuits in track and field, right here. We have not ever had where we had to do a deposition because somebody got seriously injured. What I'm trying to say is, twice I've had two places tell me, tone down your officiating. Tone it down. I said, I'm not toning it down. I arrived 4 hours early or 5 hours early to do what I have to do here, to make sure 24 different areas are covered. And if something goes wrong, if I have to do a deposition, they say, what did you do? I tell them, we did this, and everything one of these that we paid attention to. So what we do is, here protects the university, protects the officials, and it protects the coaches. Okay? We've never had a lawsuit. Go ahead.
We have this, or somebody will have this conversation the 8th of June for the Open and Masters event at USAT NFL event. What do you say to the Masters vaulters who insist that the box collar is not legally required, and therefore
They can have it removed. That's the rule. The masters do not need the collar.
but there's not an overriding concern for safety with that?
Jan Johnson is the guy that invented that. He's a very good friend of mine. Okay, I voted against him a few years back. And he did that. And my son right there in high school, he was all state. And he turned upside down, got in, hit and landed sideways. If that would have been in there then he didn't really want to turn up anymore. He went to college, he vaulted and everything. If that would have been in there, it would have saved him from getting injured the way he did. I say, why not? Why not? You just had the Masters competition a couple weeks ago in Chicago, right?
Correct.
They had 10 officials officiating the pole vault. 10. I wouldn't mind officiating that too. Guess why? Because they're coming in at 2 meters and 1 meter. 2 meters, what is 2 meters, coach? 6 feet 6 3/4 of an inch. So all I have to do is stand right here and put the pole vault bar up right here because it's only 6 feet. 1 meter is only what? 3 feet? But don't laugh at him because someday you'll all be there for hours. Okay. I'm trying to set the tone here. This event is the only event in track and field, and I gave a definition of pole vault. Somebody want to read that for me? Pole vaulting. Who would like to read that one?
What page are you?
Well, I've got it on page 2, but I'll read it for you. Vaulters, without question, truly are amazing athletes to watch perform in track and field and the entire athletic world. Vaulting requires a multiple sequence of precise movements of athleticism executed in the precise moment not experienced in any other athletic event. This is my definition of a pole vaulter. A vaulter must generate the speed of a sprinter while holding on to a 14, 15, 16 or longer pole without using their arms. What do sprinters do to go fast? They use their arms. Vaulters don't do that. But you know what? 40 years ago, I started doing research. This is crazy. Christopher, what stays here doesn't go home, right? I had an idea that I could figure out how high a vaulter could go according to his speed, the last 3 steps in the box. 40 years ago, I told my wife, she said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to invent a timing system that I put on the runway. Nobody was doing this in the country. So I went around the entire country, everywhere they let me in, and I was doing research on the pole vault. Okay? I knew who the 15, 16, I proved it. I took him down to Earl Bell's camp in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and he said, Nick, what are you doing? I said, well, listen, I've got this theory, and he had Jeff Hartwick, who was the American record holder and the Olympic medalist. He was only a 17.8 jumper there, so he did some warm-ups, and I said, hey, he can go 18.8. He PR'd that day at 18.4. So he started taking my stuff. Paul Babbitts, one of my former athletes, 2-time Olympic qualifier at 18.6, went down there and trained with him. He said, hey, you're stealing my coach's stuff. I should have documented that and proved. My research was absolutely proving that I could determine how high a vaulter can go according to their speed in the box. It cost me $2,000 to have that thing built. Still married 60 years later. Get my idea? So I got a wonderful wife. She supported everything I've done. Okay. While holding on to a pole, their arms cannot assist them to run fast. They also must have acquired the endurance of a distance runner, knowing that have up to 6, 10, or more jumps, many consecutive. The guy runs 100 prelim. What does he do? He waits an hour. He runs a semi. What does he do? He waits an hour. Then he goes again. Not a vaulter. They may have consecutive jumps, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. Okay? One right after another. But this is the only event in track and field that when you are training on that runway, you have to train at maximum effort. You train. Here's a champion miler right here. Michigan State record holder, won the state championship. How many times in high school? Yeah.
2 in cross country.
Okay, when you do your intervals, you do them about 70% of your best effort, right? I mean, you're not going to.
Depends on the day. Some days you do, some days we do 110%. Depends on what we're.
Okay, but the thing is, you can't go there. 55 quarter. We're going to do 20 repeat quarters today with a minute break. You're going to do everyone at 50, 50, 50? Impossible. You're going to do a 70% effort to get the endurance. A vaulter, every time they step on that runway, they have to go full speed 2 times a week and then 3rd time on Saturday. They are putting out maximum effort. They are very special athletes. There are no athletes that have to do the things that they have to do. And every time they plant that pole, they're at risk. At risk. And what did Dr. Danza, when I was at Walter back in '60, he wrote the pole vaulter's Bible, the mechanics of the pole vault. This is what he said. Pole vaulting is an exciting and fearful evoking skill. The event of fear, danger exists in every effort. Every time they plant that pole, you don't know what's going to happen. A guy and NASCAR drivers driving at 200 miles an hour. They did a study on athletics. What were the most difficult things to do in athletics? And they considered that one of the athletic events. Driving a car at 200 miles an hour. I mean, mega split seconds of what you're going to do. The second one was hitting a fastball at over 100 miles an hour. Guess what the third one was? Right here. Right here. Every time that vaulter goes up, we don't know what to expect. We know automatically if they're going to get in trouble with the way they plant that pole. We know it. So what we do is we get there and we try to do everything we possibly can to prevent an accident. Give them every opportunity to get their best jump they could ever get. And that's what this officiating is all about. This way this is set up is a lawsuit ready to happen. This is a lawsuit ready to happen. These standards are wrong. The very first thing, let me tell you about some of the equipment, which if you're going to be a pole vault official, you might want to start accumulating. And I'll go through that right now. Rollin, I taught him to do the announcing. The only thing I do, Dr. Zemper said, Mick, you're going to go do the national championship. He said over at Grand Valley, right? Mick, I want you to do that. I said, okay. So Mick, you know, he learned some things. So I went over there. The one thing I learned is everybody has their job, and the head official does nothing but just stand around and watch what's going on. And I said, man, that's the way it is, because why am I doing all these things I'm doing? So I better get my crew, and I better teach them what to do, so I don't have to do it. Right, Ron? Right? So these guys all have their jobs, and they know their jobs well. Ron, what do? He teaches them how to put the bar up. You're going to get these kids that are going to work for you, and none of them are vaulters. They've never done this before. So Ron, hey, go over there and teach them how to put the bar up. And there's a special way you have to put the bar up. And that the efficiency of your event is going to be predicated on how quickly that bar is up and how those standards are jumping. We are going to get a jump off every 25 to 35 seconds. Every 25 to 35 seconds. The kids coming in at the lower heights, they are the ones that got it one right after another, after another. I usually have a person that's timing right next to Rollin. It's my niece. She times every takeoff. When they take off, she starts and stops the stopwatch. If there's a breakdown, she comes and says, Uncle Mick, we're at 45 seconds between jumps. Then I have to go and find out where is the problem. It's usually down the end of the runway, because what I do is I require 3 to 5 athletes ready to go all the time on that runway. As soon as the one goes in front of you, you step on there, you tell them what you want your standards, and then we're getting jumps off for 25 to 35 seconds. How did we do with the 138 boulders at Hillsdale? Same way. Efficiency. And then with the vaulters that are coming in at the higher heights, they don't have to wait around 2 and 3 hours. They come in and there. And I'll tell you what, when you've done a good job, when those coaches come up and shake your hand at the end of the meet, and all the athletes, and they shake your hand, telling you thank you for doing the job you've done, then you go home with satisfaction. And that happens all the time when we officiate. Twice I have been told, tone it down, you're not going to officiate anymore. Guess what? I'm not toning it down, I'm not officiating at those 2 places. No, I'm not doing it. I'm going to show up and do everything that needs to be done. So I don't officiate there anymore. At the end of this session, somebody remind me of something that I'm going to say. Okay? Somebody's going to remind me of what I'm going to say. Doc wanted me to go over the rules. The rules of officiating, and I've had to go to him many times. He wants me to call him. He says, Mick, would you call me Eric? Did you not? I said, yeah, I'll call you Eric if you call me Mr. Turcheck. Well, now he's still Dr. Zemper. He refused to call me Mr. Turcheck. Is that true? Yeah. Am I embellishing? No. Christopher, what happens here stays here. Well, anyways, I try to make the event very fun to officiate. Okay, I know there's the sheets that go on here, but I'm going to tell you what we do. If I see the vaulters, I walk down and I ask them, they're all lined up right here. How many jumps do you need? How many jumps do you need? And most of them don't need, because I've been fishing for so many years. I need 2 or 3 more. We only have 5 minutes, but I'm not ready. I go to Dr. Zemper and I say, Doc, the vaulters aren't ready. I'm not starting at 12 o'clock. You say, you can't do it. I say, yes, I am. I'm going to do that. They are going to be ready. They are going to get their steps. If they've gotten their steps, they're not going to get in trouble. So I give them that extra time. And we'll finish in time anyway. It doesn't matter. So what you have to do is you have to somebody that knows rules. Let me get a situation that happened at the MAC. I emailed you, didn't I? You're looking at your watch. One of my officials that was going to be here today, he had a double bypass heart surgery. He's on my crew. He was going to be here, but he's not feeling good. But he couldn't do the math, so his position is over here. And I had to take his position in spite of being the head chief. So we had to pull these mats out to adjust the standards, push them back, and then the coach walk over here to watch the jump. And the vaulter went up, he made the bar, he landed over there, and his pole was on an angle like that. And so immediately when he hit that mat, he bounced up and grabbed his pole, pushed it away, but it was sliding towards the pin. So what I did was, that was a miss. But Mike here, he gave him a good jump. I said, Mike, we're going to talk about this. So I went over to talk to Kathy, the head referee. She was sitting there. I said, Kathy, that was a miss. She said, Mick, what are you here for? She reminded me, you're here for the athlete, to give them every advantage and every. We're not here to make rules, to try to find out everything they do, to disqualify them or not have a jump. We're here for the athlete. She said, Mick, if one coach can, contest it, give him a miss. If you don't hear from him, give it to him. We gave it to him. Okay? It's the rule. So what I do is immediately I went home, emailed Dr. Zepper, hey doc, what do we do about this? He said, Mick, that's a really toughie. Yeah, he gave me the rule, he gave me the whole thing. He said, Mick, no, the blire's supposed to be pushed away. Nobody can touch it. Not even the pole catcher, not even the vaulter. So it was technically a miss. Right? So we gave it to him, but we've done that many, many times. We've done that many times. We're here for the vaulters, give them every advantage we can, have them perform and get their best jump in their life. So when I get all the vaulters together and we're going to talk, and I tell them, welcome to Fieldhouse here, Michigan State. The reason why I'm wearing Michigan State here is our next officiating is going to be Michigan State. If anybody would like to come there and be on my crew, I can get you on there, get you paid, and you'll see what all the logistics that we do to run the event. So tell me before you leave, and I'll get your name on there, and I'll send it up to them and put you on the crew. But it's up to you. But I get there at 7. The vault doesn't start till 1. Nobody's ever there to open up for me. I have to wait until they open up, and then we have to adjust the pits. We had to take every time. Michigan State's horrible. We have to take the pits apart. We have to recalibrate everything. And we put it back together. So if anybody wants to be on the crew back up there, let me know and I'll give you some jobs and we'll give you something to do. You don't have to, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I leave the house at 5, I arrive there at 7 and do what we have to do. It's a long day. That's what I do. All right, I show up the day before. At the conference championships, I show up the day before and get everything all done. So, any questions so far? Are you getting bored? Okay, what we have to do is show you how to adjust. Hey, Ron, why don't you put the bar up, you and Christopher? Oh, let me go over some of the things that we have. Okay, before you do it. My son and I, we're pretty handsy. We can build, we do a lot of things. Okay, so we made it. This is my, I don't use this anymore because I got Roland to do it. And he sits. I never sit. I can't sit. He sits and he does the 5 alive and all those types of things. But I'm over here, I'm over there, I'm down there, I'm doing all these different types of things. But before I gave that job to him, this is where I did my officiating. I put my stand right there. This is my up. Next up, Roland, you're up. Nick, you're on deck. Ron, you're on hold.
Mickey, can I stop you here?
Sure.
It's a trend that's changing, so I want to stop you on this.
We don't say that anymore.
Best practices are flight coordinator. It's not called a clerk. It's called a flight coordinator. Okay? Does not sit in a position. Actually stands and goes on the runway and makes the announcement. While the pit boss goes on the runway, there's a flag behind their back. So I know that has changed from your initial.
Okay, here's what we do.
That's the national meet.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And I said I wanted to take something away from this
So
clinic
hopefully I can get
that I'm going to use. However, this is a portable PA system. Roland has one right there, And we have another one of these down there in Brundle. And they can hear it down there because that's where they're being stationed down there. People down here. So what we do is we have all of our own equipment. When we officiate, we have our own timing system, which is right here, electronic. You know, give them their minute, their 2 minutes, or their 5 minutes, or whatever it may be. And we have somebody running that. Okay? We also then have, this is ours, measuring device. It's so accurate, it's even calibrated to the width of the bar. This is so cool. My wife let me buy this. You know what I said, Christopher? Okay, this is so cool. Mike did this. What you do is you press the button once, it turns it on. Press it again, it shoots a beam. Press it again, you get a camera. Okay, you get a camera. So now you're looking at this, you don't have to look at the bar. You see if the beam's right on the bar. You press that, it gives you exactly the height. We have our own equipment. We don't even have to burden the university about having it. Our crew, and he doesn't like to say crew, but I'm going to keep saying crew because I'm old school, is we have all of our own equipment. We take everything to the meet that we have to, and we don't have to worry about a thing. Own PA systems, everything. Okay? As a matter of fact, I even have my own board where, you know, you go down there at the end of the runway where they set up what height you want it, the standard placement. And I was at the University of Michigan, I left it at my car and I had to run in through it, and I came out and somebody took it. So, just like that. So I don't have that one. So anyways,
Measuring device.
okay, here's the equipment you, pardon me?
How much does that thing cost? The measuring device.
How much did that cost? A couple $100. Christopher, the absence here stays here. A couple $100. The timing light costs that. This PA system right here is $140 for just one. It's $280 for two. You need two. We have two. We set them up out here and down there. We try to be so efficient, and you know, everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody has their jobs, and they do them well. I'm constantly going around. Anybody want some water? If you want water, just come and get it. If you want another one of these things, how about something for your, you know, little things here? I give them to the all the time. I'm walking around here. Have this, have this, have this. I got to keep their energy levels up. Mine too. I'm gonna be 83. I don't know what. I never saw it. Something's wrong with me. When I got up this morning, when I was vaulting, I couldn't sleep the night before. Now when I'm officiating, I can't sleep the night before. She gets up this morning. She said, "When are you going to grow up?" That's what she told me. When are you going to grow up?
Never.
I'm not. I don't know how many more years God's going to let me do this. I hope He gives me a few more. You know, what's my chances of believing in 90? I don't know, 50-50. But as long as I can keep doing this, my love for it, I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm going to give back, and I'm going to give back to the ladies. You gals saved the event. You saved the event. And boy, we all have a debt of gratitude to you. So, I carry my own. If a girl wants to come in at 5 feet, I want her to make a bar. I don't even care if she comes in at 4 feet. I want her to make a bar. I want to give her the satisfaction of leaving that meet knowing I went over a bar and I made it. So if I carry these, I made these. And I can put my extensions on there and I can get this really low. So that's number one. Number two, if you're going to don't have the timing device that I have there, and I hook this up there and I take and I measure it from there down to the bottom, exactly the millimeter, what it's got to be. Then we take this over, I have a level, we put it up a level, and we can do this with those right there. If you don't have that, but I don't use this anymore because I have that. Okay? Stopwatch. We time the takeoff. Every time they take off, we time. And I have somebody record that. Where there's a breakdown, where's the breakdown? I find out where it is and say, hey, listen, I never try to make anybody feel bad about it. If there's a problem, if there's a mistake, we all made it. The whole crew made it. Ron, Mitch, how many times have I said that? It's not your mistake, it's not your mistake, it's our mistake. We all accept the responsibility. So we time the takeoff. And if there's a breakdown, we're at 45, 55 seconds. Where is it? We got to get that. So we always correct it. Okay, stopwatch. The most important thing that you can have is this right here. You can't live and be a pull-out official without this. You can't. Very first thing we do when we get to a meet, we put up the crossbar. We see if 0 is 0. Eastern Michigan University at the MAC Championship last week. Brand new pits, brand new track, all done beautifully. We go up there, right, Christopher? He goes up to help me the night before. Coach says, Mick, everything's done for you. You don't have to do nothing. I said, okay, it's fine. Eric, what's his name? Evan. I said, Evan, do you mind if I do some measurements? Well, I measured distance between the pegs. I said, they're 5 centimeters off. The bar isn't going to be in the middle of where it's be there. It's going to be way on the edge. That was wrong. Measured 0. 0 was 1.5 inches off. I said, I thought you had this right. You know what they did? Brand new track. On this box right here, there is 1 inch flange. They put the 0 mark 1 inch back on the flange rather than the back of the box. We had to move all the pits and put down a 0 mark. We do that. We did it at Michigan State. And one thing I do, I always wear jeans. I'm very particular. You'll notice that I run at a crease. I'm very particular about everything. Everything. Once we're done doing everything we have to do, then my crew, I want your pants ironed and pressed. I want you to look professional. I want our crew to be the nicest looking crew there, and I demand that, and I insist on that. As soon as I'm done with all those measurements, my crew and I, we go change into these, which are not wrinkled, because we're going to put chalk marks down here for restraining lines. And I'm not going to do it in this, because it's going to be all wrinkled, and it's going to chalk all over it, and I'm not going to look good. So we go and change. Right, Mitch? I'm a fanatic, but I'm so concerned about this event being done correctly. It's a little details, of little things of life that make the big monumental things happen. So we try to pay attention to every detail that we can. This thing, you can't live without it. This tells you 0. Yes, sir.
You can show us exactly the point that you're talking about.
Christopher, Ryan, you want to put the bar up? Christopher, we have to put the extensions on here to come up. Listen, you're going to have these guys. They're going to do it for somebody else. Ron is the guy that teaches me how to put the bar up. Okay? I make these extensions right here. I make these. All you do is you take the paint. We have our own. We don't have to worry about it. So you're going to have to go to make it's really embarrassing when you can't get the Dunham bar in time. It's going to fill around with it. It's not going to work. This works really good.
You can also
Ron, oh no. Would you help him put the bar up? Yeah, help him get the bar. Okay, very first thing we do when we go to a meeting, it's all in your rules. Everything's there that I'm talking about. You just have to, go on. I don't even need that to go on. Okay. Put it on the front of the bar, not the back of the bar, on the front of the bar. Drop this. This has to be exactly to the back of the box, the edge has to go right down. Okay, that's fine. Now, okay, so you've got 0, all calibrated, but there's a way you got to do that. When I go to Hillsdale, it's really bad now, I got to move all the mats. It's in your book on how to do this. I use a 3-4-5 method. Anybody here a carpenter? 3-4-5. Show me what you do. What does that tell you? It tells you a right angle, right? Perpendicular, right? So what happens is the bar has to be perpendicular to the back of the box. It can't be on an angle. If that pull, if it's zero to the front of the bar, this standard may be that way, and this one may be that way. So if a vaulter goes over, many times they hit the bar. If the vaulter goes over and it's off on an angle, it may cost him something which we are at default of doing. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Well, go ahead, let's drop the, let's see what we got here. Put them on zero if they got zero.
For everybody who has it.
Yeah, here. And it's got to be right in the middle. If you want to come here and see what we're doing, that's fine. That is supposed to be at the back of the box.
So Mick, we're assuming the standards are clear, correct?
We're not assuming anything. No, don't assume anything. You're determining the assumption.
So should we take this off?
Yeah, well, we're going to go through that too. Okay, look, that's supposed to be zero. Is that zero? No. Okay, now that's fine. So we're going to get it to zero. We're going to show you how to get it. There's two ways to do it. There's two ways to do it. One, if you don't have a lot of time, you guys stay here. Take the crossbar and lay it where zero is. Stand about 20 feet back from here. And then try to line the standards up to zero. If you don't have the time, that's the best way to do it. It's very quick, but it's not very accurate. If you have time, which we do, we give them the day before, 5 hours before, we move the mats.
And the whole video here needs to
Yes, and we move them back there. So what we do is we put a crossbar right behind the box, and we take a string, all the way across. And we measure out 3 feet this way, 4 feet this way. The distance between that should be 5 feet. If that's exactly 5 feet, this is exactly right angles perpendicular to the back of the box. And you do the same thing with this. It's all in the instructions there. It's very simple, but it's time consuming. But guess what? That's one of the things that we do to make sure the vaulter isn't going to get injured. Now, okay, fine. So now what do we do if the standards, they got to be equal distance across?
Yeah.
Okay? We move these guys out. How are we doing on time?
We started half an hour late because
I heard. But they're not getting bored with me. I'm excited.
no, take what you need.
Good. Have them move it out. Okay, so what we do is the standards may be too far that way or too far this way. What we're going to do is take our tape measure. This tape measure has to be measured, by the way. Tape measure has to be measured. We measure this length of the box right here and get the exact center. Put a mark there. The exact center, right there. Got it? Then we go over here. We measure up 4 feet. Or 5 feet, whatever you want. 60 inches, we put a mark. Put it up high enough so it won't hit there. We take our tape measure, we put it on there, and we go to here. Let's say it's 154 inches. That one's 160 inches. Now we got to move it so it's even on both sides. Because if we don't do that, the bar is going to be farther on one side than the other. And it's going to be out of balance. Okay? So what you do is you can't move the standards back or this way. We've already established our zero mark, so we got to move in and out right on the zero mark. Perpendicular, right angle to the back of the box. Move this way or that way. Not back or forward to get your desk. Then that gives you the exact area, exactly the same distance from the center of that box to the back of that box on both sides. Okay? Now, that's fine. We got that. We were going to do that. We didn't have a lot of time. You guys, I'm trying to just get through this thing. Maybe I'm not boring you, but anyways. Okay, now, next thing you have to do is right here, you got to take it, you got to start at 8 feet 6. You got to have the marks on there. Okay? And what I do is, this is 7, because the girls are going to take off at about 7, 6, 6, 6, something like that. The guys, world-class vaulters, they're going to take off at 15. You know what kind of vaulter you have by where they're going to take off. If they're taking off at 15, you've got yourself a 19-footer. If they're in here, it's 15, 16 footers. But the girls are going to take off from here. So you got to have a takeoff mark, and that's so very, very important for the coaches. They have to know that, and it has to be correct. So we put a chalk mark, but I only put the odd, like 6. I put it maybe 10 inches. But the foot one, I'll make it 16 inches. Then 10, 16, 10, all the way down to whatever meet we have. And if we know we have a vaulter that's a 19-footer, which we did a couple of years ago, Sean Barber, okay? We did the MAC championship up at Central Michigan. Hey, he jumped 19 too that day.
And Nick, you measuring from the 7 foot?
We're measuring from the back of this box right here.
So from the 0 mark.
Yep, from right the 0 marks. Exactly right there. And we put chalk marks. And I have the chalk right over there. Okay, now, one thing what you do when you're doing the colleges, them doggone vaulters want to stick right up next to the darn track. They do, but you can't have that because you're going to distract the vaulter. No distract. I don't allow anybody in the back of the pit because I don't want them moving back to their fourth. No, I don't want any distractions for that vaulter. So what I do is, one of the things, Mike, where are you, Mike? He's over there. At the MAC championship, we measured 48 inches and put a mark on every side of the runway all the way down. They said, Nick, it's a brand new track, you can't use chalk. I said, really? But here's a whole case of tape. They gave us athletic tape, and it was beautiful. Mike did a beautiful job on that. On one side, 48 inches, on the other side, 48 inches. Those vaulters can't get any closer. The vaulter is not going to be distracted. Okay? That has to be done. You have to do that. I don't want to hear at the end of this, Mick, we're going to leave officiating a pole vault to you, please. I'm looking for the person that's going to take over. I'm not going to be leaving this very much longer. That's going to take over and have the affinity, the love for this event like I have. And do it the right way so these vaulters don't get injured. And you can save yourself a lawsuit. Okay? So, now, we've established 0 with 3, 4, 5. It's in my sheets. 3, 4, 5. That's perpendicular to that, perpendicular to that. Then you take a piece of tape, because they don't have it, over here. Cut it in 2. And that's going to be your 0 mark. So from that point on, every time you measure the bar, you have to bring the standards back to 0. Because if it's like that, you're going to get a higher measurement. It has to be exactly perpendicular. Now, there's one more thing. Okay, so now we have the standards down at 9 feet. We've established 0. We've established 0. Now we put the bar up to 19 feet. Is it still 0? It has to be. So then, shimmed. You have to shim the standards. These standards should be secured to the ground. They're not. That's illegal. Okay, that's illegal. So what we have to do is, do you have a level? I have a level. There you go. It's a level. It's a.
So, question.
Yes,
You start shimming shim right from the beginning, you start shimming as you get higher to get it to.
What we do is we put it 0, then we go up to 19 feet, and we say 0, 0. If it's not, which way is it leaning?
Right.
So if you
You
have
shim that.
0 down here, and the standards are leaning that way, by the time they get up into 17 or 18 feet, they're off 4 inches. You know, that's a big difference with these altars. That's a good question. Okay? You have to have it exactly 19. So what we do is we shim the standards one way or another. Okay, so they have to be vertical, absolutely vertical. That's where this comes in. This tells us if it's vertical or not. And we make it vertical. Now, that's this way, but what about this way? Because if the bar goes up, and that's not even going to be standing in the middle of those, then it's going to not go on there at a higher height. So now we have to make sure they are vertical both ways. Right?
You have to have more shims on the
Exactly.
side, yes.
Yes.
So that's what my question. So your lower heights, they are vertical, and then when you shim, because I've done this at higher heights, but I've never been with anybody that was above 15 feet. And so, do you shim that to accommodate the 19-footer or the 18-footer right clear at the beginning, or do you do that
At the beginning.
So
No,
you don't
right
wait till
when
it
you
starts
get-
stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
as soon as you get there,
Right.
make
Then
sure
you-
they are vertical.
I knew that.
Both ways.
Does it, I guess what I'm asking is, if it's vertical low, and then you shim it for high, is it gonna mess up the low?
No.
At all? Okay.
0, it'll always stay 0 at the low height.
Yeah, anyway.
But then we move it up so it will be, vertical.
But Mick,
That's a
isn't
good
it
question.
also-
What are you thinking? I'm sorry?
So, but isn't it also an issue that at 14 or 15 feet, it can be off a little bit, but it doesn't affect the bar, but at 19 feet, it will affect the bar?
Well, if it's going to be off, if it's on 0, but if you go 14 feet, it's going to be off.
Yeah.
It's not going to be on. Okay, it's going to continue to be off more and more as you go.
Yeah.
Diverge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
So it's gonna be
diverge
a
more.
higher,
Exactly.
the variance is gonna be against you.
Right.
It didn't change.
Hey, anybody want some water? Take yourself a water if you want. Go ahead, have one. And have anything over there I have that might keep you guys. I want to keep your energy levels up. Okay, let's go over some of these other things that I bring. Why do I bring this? WD-40.
Standards.
I lubricate them darn standards. I'll tell you what, because they are a bummer to move sometimes. And I lubricate them. And I move them back and forth so we get them going smoothly, because when they touch them with their hands, they just move them. If you have to push on things, it's no good. I carry this. I also paint the box white. After everything I'm done, the last thing I do is I paint the box white. And this dries within 20 minutes. Fast drying white paint. That box, you can paint them white and they can be silver. But I paint them white. What's your thought on that? Either way, just as long as the vaulter can see the box plank. You have to be visible. Okay, so that's that. Let me get some more other things here. A bungee. The vaulters want to jump with a bungee. Their warm-ups has to be in a bungee. Okay? I carry a spare bungee in case the one they have breaks. If not, then this we just put right up there. And they want this. But the thing is with this bungee is that the vaulters will be down there. Leave the standards back at 80. You know, it's 45 to 80 in the standard adjustment, right? Leave them back at 80 on the warm-ups. You don't want to be moving the standards back and forth, but you do want to move them up and down, because some of the vaulters vault at a higher height, and some of the ones that vault at a lower height, so you're going to move it up and down for them. And what you do is we just have somebody down here with a card, and they say, okay, that vaulter, she wants it at 16 or 5 meters. 5 meters is 16, 4.5, by the way. You wouldn't want to have that. So then we just know how to adjust it really quick up and down.
Yeah, and they'll let you know actually. if they
Yeah, I'll
want
let you
it.
know. Okay, so that's this bungee. Now let's go over here. This is a wind gauge. I either use that or this. I put one here outdoors, one right here, and I put one down the runway to let those vaulters know where the wind is. Sometimes I'll put one up on top of the standard if I can get to it. And the vaulters can see what they have a crosswind, a tailwind, or a headwind. That darn headwind is really hard on vaulters. It's very hard. Crosswind is too, because when they want to put the pole down, it blows their thing. So this helps them outdoors to see where they are. Give them every advantage. And sometimes if they're at 60 seconds, I say, hold it, stop over, give them time. That wind slows down for them. I'm not going to make them go when there's a big crosswind and they get injured. Start their time over. Give them every benefit of the doubt. We don't want them to be injured. So that's my wind gauge. I'll put one up there, I put one here, and I put one sometimes on there. Okay? These are the markers, and they're exactly the way they should be. I have two. They're color coded. I make these. I won't sell them to you, but I make them. And how do I get the colors on it? They're two the same. The problem is, every time a darn vaulter wins, he wants to steal these things because of the memory. So I'm always replacing them.
Souvenir.
But what I do is souvenir, right? So, okay, big deal. You know, he puts it in his book of memories, and that's great. So what I do is, how do I get other colors like this? I go to Home Depot, where they have all the paint sections. They got all these different things for that. I take two of every one. They don't care. I bring them home. I cut these things out. I glue them on there. I put a little hole through there. I have the tacks. We give it to them. They get two. You can only allow two. You can't use shoes. You can't use chalk. You got to use these. All right? Okay.
Next, tell us the size maximum you can have for USA Track and Field.
I'm sorry?
The size limitation for those for USA Track
Yeah,
and Field.
they're 5 meters or 5 centimeters, which is like about 5 inches, and they can only be an inch and a half wide.
3 by 6.
Yeah, it's in the book.
Yes.
It's in my rules that I gave you guys. If you go to the comparison rules that's in there, I gave everybody a comparison rule. That tells you all the rules for the world, USCAF, NCAA, and the high school. That's a comparison. You can take that with you to the meet. Right there you have the rules. It tells you everything you need to know. It tells you the distance between the pegs, whatever you got to do. That's going to save you a lot of time. I would suggest that you take that and you know, put it between the, laminate it. I laminate mine. Some of the other things you need to take. I take my own flags. Okay? Now who needs flags? The pit boss, only a white and a red. The timer needs a white, a red, and a yellow. A white, a red, and a yellow. The timer sits in. And at the end of the whole thing, I gave you position setups for everybody where they're going to be stationed. Okay, that's going to be consistent. You want to do that. But the pit boss has the flag there. White, we made it. Red, no good. Foul. The timer has 60 seconds. Now, it's 1, 2, 3, 5 for the college. Okay, 1 minute for a lot of, if you're coming in. 2 if there's 3 or more, 3 or less. 3 if it's consecutive, and 5 if you're the only one left in there. But high school, it's a little bit different. Okay, it's 1, 3, 3 for 5. They get 1 minute, they get 3 minutes consecutive, they get 3 minutes for 3 or less, and they get 5 minutes if it's the only one. So it's all in the rules that I gave to you.
Question on time.
Question? Go ahead.
You, time and wind. Okay, so you mentioned just that if it's gusting, you can see that, you'll start the time over. And so that seems that's your discretion. It sounds, because those times are very specific about what they're supposed to allow, and yet you also, if you have a big wind, you're accounting for that to not start the time until it seems like the wind has died down. So how much discretion do you have there? Like I did pole vault for a regional high school meet, and it was windy the whole day. But some moments it was windier than other ones. And my guy that was doing the timing, some girls he would allow a long time, other times it would just be like right on the minute. So question is, in all your experience, how much discretion do you have there?
So can I?
Before
We had that happen at Nationals, NAIA.
Okay.
Pit boss and me, we were extra officials. You announce their time. Time runs normal. You have to keep it on schedule.
Right.
We would stay and hold poles.
Right.
The wind.
We do
As
that.
soon as they got to their point,
Yeah, go.
elevate, then we took it away, but watched it because if the wind, we'd have to make that call.
So you weren't holding them up in terms of your times.
Absolutely
You were
not.
just holding the bar.
Can't do that in national
Okay.
meet.
I'll
We've
tell you
done
what,
that
if,
at NCAA.
if they got a crosswind and it's really bad, hold on. Why jeopardize them to plant the pole and get off and hurt themselves? We try to make it. I know it's against the rules.
That's the head person's call too, to hold off counting time. But most of it have to be almost, hurricane.
And here's another one. Okay. The vaulter in college goes up. Okay. Where's the Mike? Mike, this happened to us. Okay, here we go. The vaulter came down and did this and stopped. Okay? And they said, no, you still have time on the. I said, no, the vaulter hit the pole, touched the pit. I said, no, it's a miss. And the vaulter knew it, but he was good because Mike, and it's okay, we all make a mistake. But Mike said, no, he raised a white flag. I said, no, Mike. I said, it was a miss. The vaulter knew it. He was ready to go back and run. And then when I said that, he knew he did the wrong thing. Okay. However, in college, this is what you do. You go down, you plant the pole, you go up, you abort, you come down here. You still have 30 seconds left on your time. They can run down there, and they can, if they can get it in within their time limit, they can go. High school, a little bit different. They come down, and they abort the vault, and they just leave the ground. Okay, that's fine. But if they go up, and they say call it an attempt, they go up, and come down, and land there, it's a miss. In high school, right? Yes, it is. However, give them the advantage of the thing. Say, oh no, I'm going to give that to you. Okay? They went up and they tried to make it. If they only go up this high and they land right here, go back. If you got time on there, do it.
So you have to make a decision whether they aborted the jump
Yes.
or it was just they stopped short of going.
What are you going to do?
Give them the benefit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mickey,
Okay?
Mickey, if the pole's in the air and they've stopped, it doesn't touch anything, then there's no attempt.
It's no
But
attempt.
if they touch anything beyond the
They
zero.
touch anything with their body or the pole beyond the stop plane of the back of the box,
Yeah.
it's a miss. It's a foul. They can go through like this and not and stop. It's not a miss. Go back. You got time in your timer.
And if you're watching the time, they're stated if as the clock is going to 60, they've started their first step. They've still started within the 60 seconds? Or?
Yes. No. They go there and they've started their run and their time is up. It's still good. If they're down there, the time is up. It's no good.
As long as they're in forward motion towards the pit,
Exactly.
and that time expires, they're good.
Exactly.
That was the same as high school.
That's the attempt is the term.
It's like in basketball.
Okay. All right, here's one for you. Let's see how you do this one. Guy by the name of Dave Bowles. University of what, Indiana? He developed a technique that was fantastic. He would go up, hit the bar, push it back on. Okay. Oh yeah, he got away with it 2 years. Yeah,
I always wondered how you can do that. That's what brings to mind to do that.
You can do it.
You can do it.
You're up there. When you're up there,
And
you're
the thing
at
is,
that top.
if they do that, it's a miss. Put their hands on that bar, it's a miss. So you have to be very, very careful of that one. And if they just put their hand back, make a discretion whether did they really touch the bar or they did not. But if they really touched the bar, it's unfortunately you just have to.
Purposeful or inadvertent? Were they trying to, or was it just incidental? Did the hands
Just
coming
raise
over?
it as they're coming
Yeah, the hands.
A guy by the name of Corey Tarpon and Walter, remember that name? You know him.
Oh, yes.
And he used to go over sideways. I mean, like he was in the high jump. He went over sideways, but he was a 19-foot vaulter. And it was crazy to watch him jump. I mean, he was just incredible.
High jump from oversight.
Yeah, he would go over the bar, and instead of going like, you get up your vertical, and you do this, and then he would get up and somehow go over sideways, the whole body sideways. It was the most comical thing you ever said, but he was great.
And maybe similar to the thing that happened at the Mac, but on a windy day, you also watching effort to push the pole away.
In a windy day, give it to them. Give it to them, okay? Don't worry about it. Windy day, and that's it. They got a tailwind. They're over. Hey, give it to them. You definitely saw that they were over that bar. When that bar goes in, it hits it. Incidentally, if the lower heights, if the pole knocks off the bar, it's a miss. I was the first vaulter in the history of the state to go 15.6. Guess what? Didn't count. Back then, if your pole went through, it was a miss. I went 15.6. Bar stayed up and clear by a mile. My pole went in, it was a miss. 1962. Yes, sir.
To Mickey and anybody else that can help me out, in my association, we had a meeting, and I don't think there's an exact answer, but if somebody can give me some closer generalities in what we came
I'm
up
going to
with,
get some support here.
I would
Carol,
appreciate
Dr.
it.
Zemper.
Okay, so you're outside, it's a windy day.
Yes, sir.
When do you cancel the vault? And I know that depends on possibly the gender and the age, but one time I canceled junior high boys, they're 120 pounds, it was 35 mile an hour, and it was a side wind, but the coach, if his eyes would have been knives, I'd have been stabbed 42 times. So does anybody have input on, because I want them to vote if possible, but I don't want anybody
Go to the referee and say, I am not allowing the vault to go on today. I am not. He said, why? He said, because no, it's too dangerous for the vaulters. And you cancel. If you are the official, you have that prerogative. But you have to clear the referee.
I don't say, yeah.
Okay, this is what
And I was a
happened.
one-man show, so I just went with
No,
it.
then that was on you.
So there's not really a hard and fast rule for junior high or high school or college
That's right.
on the wind miles per hour, but are there any generalities you guys with a lot of experience tend to go with?
I would say I always err on the side of the safety of the athletes.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's like the toughest thing right there. If it's
yeah.
even a drizzle or,
Yeah.
so always we all know about safety, but like wind is a concern. So I would always do this. I don't know if this is right, but I like consult with coaches a little bit to say, what do you guys think?
That's a good idea.
And I'll talk
Yeah.
with the athletes. Say, you guys comfortable vaulting in
That's
there?
his question.
And if those athletes, they all look like, I'll say that's that.
Okay, so here's
You're not saying a certain amount, like 10 mile an hour wind or higher.
If you really have to hold that bar on, I mean, you really have to hold it, and you take it off, and it blows it off, there's a discretionary move you have to make, and I think you're going to make the right move.
And at some point, you have to just call.
Yeah.
Mickey, am
Okay.
I messing you up with it?
No, are you kidding? I love the input.
Okay, so
I'm just tired of hearing myself talk.
I go to a place that the meet gets started late. It always gets dark before the vault's over.
Yeah.
So, but we go as long as we can. Is there somewhat of a rule on so many minutes before or after sunset?
Maybe.
Or is that just totally your discretion? Because again, you can go too long. You want them to get finished, but at some point it's dangerous.
If they
you don't have
cannot
lights.
see that box and that planning and that runway, you cancel. This is what happened last year. I wasn't able to make it at Siena Heights. They had their conference championship. I couldn't make it. The situation would just come up, and I sent my crew down there. And the pit had a spot in there where they bottomed out and they hit. Okay, they hit. So what they did was they went in and they got these square chunks of the sponge, the mat, and they put it in there, but there was a big hump and they covered that with a mat. So after the meet, they called me and told me, Mick, this is what you had to do. I said, why'd you run the vault? I would have called Dr. Zemper over, the field event referee and the head referee and said, look, this vaulter gets injured. Are you going to host this meet? You're going to let him run? I am not going to do it. if you're gonna do it, I want it documented. I said it's not safe, and I'm gonna run it, but I'm not gonna document it. That I did not want it to be run because it was unsafe for those vaulters involved. They should have canceled the pole vault. They did not. And I was mad at the crew.
Safety always trumps the rule book and coaches and everything else.
Thank you.
You know what I think is helping with, at least in Ohio, what's helped with that dark pole vault is that the time limits and the expectation of how fast kids get back. Because the girls was never a problem because they always were before the running events. But the boys, particularly, I always thought this was tough. The boys that came in at the higher heights, they were always at a disadvantage because by the time they came in, you were late into it. People were coming and going and coming and going. But now we're following, like, you got 5 minutes. You can't leave until the third call. You got 5 minutes after to get back. And if you don't, we just raise the bar. And that's helped a lot in terms of moving it along and avoiding darkness.
Sure.
Yeah,
You pass them.
Yeah,
You pass them. You got to pass them. You're not going to hold up the meet until they come 10 minutes later.
We used
you
to.
pass them whether they want to or not.
Another one I think everybody's going to have happen or already has, and help me out on this. I just had an official with a whole lot more experience than me. This is how he handles it, so add to this one side or the other. It's raining. We're still evolving. It's not a safety issue yet. But he said that at some point, if he has to call it, he does. A kid slides down the pole, he visually sees the kid's hand slide, and he calls it. So then I asked him, I said, so is that a jump? And he said, I count it as a miss. And if a coach comes to me, I go to the referee and I tell the coach, I understand your complaint. Let me check with the referee. And then he'll change it if the referee says it's not a miss because he slipped. So what's your input on that?
The vault should have been canceled because if it's so raining so hard that they have to slide down the pole, they hit that box, they're going to get injured. Okay, they're going to take off, they're going to get injured. Another thing, when you go to these high school meets, you check the box because it's on a runway and the box heaves at the time. And if there is a lip that high and they hit that, plant that pole and they hit right here and the pole goes to bend right there, they are going to get seriously injured. If that is the situation, you cancel the vault. No, you can't do that. You can't have the vault today. You got to fix that box. You got. I've gone to meets where I've done the high school, and I said, no, you're not running a pole vault today. You're forfeiting those points. Why? In the long jump, the board wasn't right. You make that decision, but you're always, whether it's a long jumper, high jumper, shot put, or whatever, you are there for their safety. That's primary concern. And this event, it doesn't require. It requires so much more than its other events. You have to be on top of the game. And that's what I'm trying to project here.
The other thing is, it's not just athlete safety. We're in a very meticulous society. You are personally liable. So, if you can afford to take the risk, or whether you can, it's going to be there. Now, to answer your question, sliding. I was the safety judge for the World Masters in Porto Alegre, Brazil. I shut down the entire, not just pole vault, but the entire competition because I noticed the 70-year-old vaulters were sliding on the pole. I said, until the conditions get better, we are not conducting anything. And so, Eric has 4 different rules of rules. First rule, safety. I don't care what the rule book says. If it's not safe, don't do it. Otherwise, we lose the sport and we lose public support. Second rule, the golden rule, which he talked about. No unfair advantage or disadvantage for any athlete. The third rule, shall. And then the fourth is should. There have been situations where I've been the referee for national, collegiate, and other level meets.
He does the Canadian nationals too.
I've had to avoid the shells because it was a violation of the spirit and it was leading to favoritism for a team. And I can give you specific instances later. But always follow that hierarchy. What's the purpose of that rule? Safety, I don't care, don't do it. Then, even if the rule book says shall, but it leads to some kind of unfair advantage or disadvantage, don't do it. I've been a national level referee for almost 30 years. I followed that procedure the entire time. I've yet to ever been overridden a single time by a jury of appeals, because I'm always looking at the spirit. And if you want to mitigate your risk, if you think it's a problem, call the coaches or whatever together and say, gentlemen, this is what we have. Do you have any suggestions of what we should do? Because this is what I believe we should do. Speak now or forever hold your peace. I've had that happen in some situations, and it calms them down later, and we don't have a protest because they've all consented. So be proactive.
Okay, very first thing we do also is 5 minutes before they're ready to go, they've all got their steps down. We call them down and their coaches. And the coaches, because we want the coaches to hear what we have to say as officials. We tell them, welcome, and I think I told you this before, welcome to the facility. We are here for one purpose, to have the best jump of your life. We want you to have a PR. And if you do a PR, let us know. Okay? And what we do is we tell them, this is how we're going to handle this event. And I tell it to them, then I have coaches, you have any questions about how I'm handling the event? And the athletes I have an event, they never do. You're going to have 3 to 5 athletes on that runway ready to go. And we're not waiting for you to be over there talking to your coach. We're not waiting there to talk over to your girlfriend. You're going to be on that running. Sorry.
That's okay.
Or board.
That's right. Or board.
Christopher, what happens here stays here. You guys are tired of hearing that, eh?
Can I ask you a question about the set there?
Absolutely.
Is that about where the color would be to the 0 point, about a little bit back?
Yeah, that pad should be this way a little bit more. But you know what? That doggone pad, I have seen it cause a vaulter to fall bad. Because if his pole starts to bend, it bends here, and it bends out like this, and it goes straight. If it bends right here, it kills the bend. It kills the bend. And that's a real problem. And I just had Paul Babbitts, one of my bowlers, two-time Olympic qualifier. He said, Coach, he said, what are you going to do about that, the bun in there? He said, that's killing the athletes. He said, some of our best jumps are being killed by that. I said, oh, that's a rule in high school, and that's a rule in the NCAA. What are we going to do? You're going to have to contest that. Let me tell you another rule. Dr. Zemper and I were very instrumental in having this one overturned. We're at the Huron relays. For years, the vaulters want to run back down there to get their steps. Well, guess what? I wrote up to the USCAF. He backed me. We were instrumental in getting that changed. Hey, if a vaulter has to run back down there to get a step, he hasn't been on the runway. He has had no runway time. He has not vaulted. Not one college vaulter ever does that, ever. They know what their steps are because they've been practicing. They measure it out, and they go with it. Now, I have a tape measure. They don't, the college vaulters, boy, there's something else. They don't trust the markings that are done by the company. Put the tape down. So I got a tape, 150-foot tape, and we put it down, we put tacks in it all the way down the runway. They don't trust it. And that's got to come out with 12. Make sure 12 is equal where 12 has to be with your tape measure. Put your tape down, measure it, and that's the way they want it. That's the way we're going to do it. Let's see. Let me just check one thing here, and then boy, I appreciate all your input.
One more question.
How come you haven't asked anything, Mr. Johnson?
Be too elementary.
I have one more here. In terms of the pit compared to where the collar is that about right?
No, that pit too far back. That pit should be right at the edge of, see that crease right there?
Yeah.
6 inches back.
From there. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought that looked a little further.
Yeah, that pit should be right at this edge right here. Right here.
6 inches back, or right there.
From here.
right,
Here,
where
this
that
has
six
got to
inches
be
back.
right up to here.
Yeah.
This pit has to be moved right to there.
Yeah.
That you can get your 0 mark.
So that's 2.5 foot too far back.
Yeah, these pits are too far. This, if a vaulter got injured here,
They'd be in trouble.
the litigation, the lawsuit
All
would be.
these damn attorneys.
Yeah, this is a accident rate now.
I'll share that.
Helps to have a little bit of
Let me see if I have anything else that I can talk to you folks about. Help yourself to the water. Help yourself to those little gummies if you like them. They're right there. I gotta keep your energy levels up.
This is great. I'm glad I came.
Let me see if there's anything here on this.
Marking the bar. Show them
Thank you. Ron just brought up a good point, which I thought about when we were talking, and I didn't address it, but I will now. These bars that they're using right here, they're pretty archaic. Okay? They're pretty outdated. The ones they have now have a round on it and it's flat. This bar, you have to mark one side that always points. Now look, if I point this like this, it's going to turn. You have to mark it so the curve is on the bottom, so you mark that side. And you have to put it on there every time that way. Now if they have the new bars, you don't have to worry about it because it only goes on one way. But, go ahead.
What about the ones that, after time, the empty spats?
I take tape like this and I tape them on. White tape. Okay, now what also I do is the distance between here and here, I think is 4.27 to 4.38.
You can tape them on. I don't think you can tape them on.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
think
tell
you
you
can
what.
do that tape.
No, it's illegal. But I'll tell you what. The colleges don't do that. We don't have to worry about the colleges. The high schools, if they're going to move like that, look, that's a problem.
They move in college. We mark them when we do it. We mark the line across here on the bar. We write right, left, front. So when the people put the bar on there, it's the same every time. It has to be the same every time. And
Okay,
if
that's
it
a good
moves,
point.
the people putting the bar on have to.
Also, the distance between the pegs, I think it's 3.27, 3.38. You measure the distance between here, right in the middle. I have my little marker there, and I have a combination square. I put a line here with a marker, and I put a line here. You can't do it with tape or anything like that. The pegs should be right in the middle of that. So if the pegs are the same right distance from there, when they're putting it up, they just try to center it right there. You don't want the pegs to be like this.
So it helps the bar. So what he's talking about is on the bottom, you do two marks like that. So they line it
They
up
go
on the
right
peg.
on the peg.
So when the two people put the bar on there, they're getting the same placement.
Now, let's supposing
And as you see it going up or going down when you're progressing and it's no longer able to put in that position, it means that your standards are tilted. That's why
they're
it's
not
very
vertical.
important at the beginning
So
to absolutely have
you go up to
both
15
tilt
feet,
inward
and all of a
or
sudden the pegs are out here. No good.
And that's where you're going to find out. As you get
You see
No,
it because
no, you're
it's
not going to find that out. You're going to do that before the meet starts. You're going to get them centered before the meet starts. This is your obligation. If you want to be a pole vault official, you have to get there early.
What I'm saying, what happens, standards get moved during the meet. So you have to reposition the standards and put them in the same positions. That's why it's critical that you mark your bars, you mark your standards in the exact same spot. So you get them in the exact same spot if they've been hit. Because they will get hit. They will get moved, especially with the pole vault hitting that.
University of Michigan, $40,000 standard.
Yep.
$40,000 standard. Every time I went there, they were off. The pegs were off. Actually, I didn't bring it, but I have a bar that if I have to shim the standard, we can't do those standards. Those things weigh a couple 100 pounds. So I have this bar that we pry down to put our shims in. I didn't bring it. I should have brought that to show you. Okay? And every time I go there, 58 years I officiated there, I had to do that. Because during practice, they get moved. Not one time did I ever go to Michigan State with their big facility that I didn't have to adjust the standards. Or Michigan State, his alma mater. They've really come a long way with those standards. Oh, incidentally, I forgot to mention to you, there's some premiums to be a vault official. You want to tell them what it is, Doc?
Water and fruit snacks.
Oh, you're at Michigan State. Outdoors, it's all snowing and raining. You always come in to see how the motors are doing. Inside. You see what I'm getting at?
Vertical jump.
Yeah, Mick. Hey, Mick, how's the vault doing today? I was just coming to see how you're doing. I know, you came in to get warm. So there are benefits to being a pole vault official. Oh, incidentally, he the new coach up there, you know, he just emailed me the other day. He said, Mick, you want to hold the ball outside? I said, no, it's too cold to hold it outside. It's very cold. So he emailed me back. He said, Mick, fine. He said, I will have this facility open for you. You let me know when I'm coming. You're coming, and it will be open.
Well, it's supposed to be 60 degrees and sunny in East Lansing next Friday.
Never trust the
Come on in and see
weather.
how the vault's doing.
Come on the field, visit me and say hi, okay?
You're kidding. Okay, listen, this is my last thing I want to say. And there's two more things I want to say. If any of you would like to be on our crew at Michigan State in that meet, let me know. Give me your name.
What's the date?
It's what the 5th.
Next Friday.
It's the
Next
5th
Friday.
of
Next
April.
Yeah,
Friday.
but the pole vault's on Friday.
Friday.
If you want to be on our crew, I will put your name down. You will get paid, and if it's an for you to learn a learning situation, I'll give you jobs to do. We'll show you how we do it, the logistics of it all, the mechanics of setting it up. I would be more than happy to have this because I'm going to turn this over to somebody someday. And it might be you, might be you, might be you. I don't know who it's going to be, but I'm not going to be able to do it forever. Hopefully I can. We'll see. Okay, now the last thing, and you're going to get mad at me, Doc. You're going to get mad at me. And I'm going to sit down and talk to you.
Well, before you do, how do you determine the bow on the bar?
You know, it's automatic. Yeah,
Is
it's
it-
automatic.
It's on there.
This automatic to the bow. Listen, good point, Shelby.
You can just
Look at this.
eyeball it.
No.
Just like a
Look at
2x4.
that. See that's the bend. That's going to be the front, or it's always going to mark the front. Now look, if I turn it like this, okay, and if I turn it like this, if I put it up like that, it's going to roll.
Gotcha.
It's going to roll to its lowest point.
It's like a 2x4.
It's going to do that, but you don't have to do that with the new bars. They were so nice because they're flat on here and they're rounded here. They don't have four
Before
flat
the
edges.
There's
There's another way, Mickey.
In high school, I didn't think it was that.
I hope they don't because this is really.
You take, put it in one end, and then the string across the top from end to end, and you can see the sag.
Okay, that brings up another point. Oh, that brings up another point. Good point.
Yeah, lay it in there.
Is,
Between the roll, then watch it roll. And watch it roll.
Okay. We have to make sure that 5 meters is 5 meters, which is 16.4.5. Okay, so we take and we measure that to see if it is 64.5. If it is not, and you can't make the adjustments on the standards where they move a little thing up to calibrate it, then if it's like 2 centimeters off, you just make sure, and I have a little cheat sheet. I have 3x5 cards. I give it to the pit boss, and I give it to those people for what the standard raises are. If we're off by 2 centimeters, automatically put 2 centimeters onto the bar. It always comes out right. But you have to do that. Now, the new standards they have today, all you do, they have a little adjuster that you can automatically adjust it, and it will come out right. But we do that with this. Okay, we do that with this. And that's very, very important that you know that it is. And then while the standards are down, we measure to make sure that one is right, what it says, and that one is right, what it says, so that, it's not like this. It's the center is measuring what it's supposed to measure, but the bar can be like that. So we do all these things. It's just something that we have to do. Now the last thing, and I'm going to sit down for this one. When I was coaching, I had some pretty good athletes. I had a girl that eventually became the world record holder in hurdles, 2-time Olympian. I had another girl that was national high school hurdle champion. She was breaking Debbie's records, and she was a qualifier for the Olympics. I had several girls that were All-Americans in cross country that were 9th in the nation, 4th in the nation, 5th in the nation. And I didn't treat the girls any differently than I treated the guys. If we were doing 40 repeat quarters, they're doing 40 repeat quarters. We trained them the same way the guys. I have served notice. My crew has. If a guy is showing up to compete against the girls as a girl, I will walk out. I will not allow that to happen. You can get mad at me, whatever you want. These girls, there's a guy right now that's 17, 18-foot baller claiming he's a girl. No girl will ever hold that record again if he's allowed the ball. Ever. And my crew and I, we have taken a vow to one another. That's how I'm going to do it. Out of respect for these ladies. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's how I feel about that. I cannot take a record away from a girl. I cannot deprive her of winning that championship. And if you have a daughter that is a champion and somebody breaks their record, you know how I feel. So I'm ending with that. And I hope we learned a little bit today. But
Thank you.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I as a board member would be interested in knowing your opinion on that, because this is something that we will need to address at some point at the level of board level of USA Check. Yeah, I mean, right now we're going by World Athletics rules, but I
What
think
is World Athletics rule on that?
it's based on testosterone, actually.
yeah, it's based on
But it
testosterone.
doesn't take into effect the advantages, the biological advantages that a male carries through after achieving puberty. Yes, right.
That's what I like. Well, you've got Martine.
Have a special event.
Or just a category. Couldn't it be a category?
Well, yeah, but you know, you can have athletics for transgender athletes.
Yeah, that's how I feel. You don't have to. You know, I don't want you to think the way I think. But
Swimming now there's men's, women's, and there's an open category. Oh. Nobody is signing up for the open category. There's still Leah Thomas, to name one. She's the most outspoken one, or whatever her name is fighting right now at Court of Arbitration for Sport to be allowed to compete at the international level as a woman. And it is most of the people in the
I
US
contacted Debbie. She's the
swimming
world
are
record holder.
against.
Was indoors. When Carter boycotted the Russian Olympics, she was ranked #1. Didn't get a chance. And I told her, I said, Debbie, the only thing I can say is don't discredit those people. Don't dishonor them, but don't show up to the Peking Olympics. I told her. She said, Coach, I know a lot of the Olympians. I'm going to pass that along. Sri Stuchamp, national hurdle champion, Olympic qualifier, another hurdler. And I pass it on to the girls that I know, and they all agree with me. Maybe I'm wrong. Time will tell. But this is a special event. Make it as safe as you possibly can. Do whatever you can to prevent any injuries. Every time there's an injury, that's ammunition for them to drop the sport. I don't want that to happen. It's such a beautiful thing to watch, and the ladies offer such a flair to it. It's more exciting to officiate them than it is these darn guys.
Well, and Mickey, for that, and that theme, one of the better stories we've got in Michigan is we've got a master's pole vaulter who started at like 65 because she couldn't vault when she was in high school. And she stood around, and some of the guys said, "Do you want to try it?" And she tries, and she vaults. I don't know, she vaults a meter, or 900 millimeters, whatever. But she's vaulting, and she's vaulting because she finds the sport interesting, and the guys will willing to teach her how to do it.
You know, Paul Babbitt just called me, and he's 3-time world record holder for his age group. You know, Paul, he has a facility down there, teaches nothing but pole vault. He said, Coach, he just called, I talk to him all the time. He says, Coach, I think that only ones that should officiate the pole vault is somebody who was a pole vaulter. I said, Paul, it's not going to happen. Okay, look around. Look around us. How many young people do you see? Hey, I'm 80-some years old. Yeah, what are you doing here, Shelby? Hey, we're all aging and we're living, but we're not getting the young blood back into it. So what are they going to do in 10 years when we're all gone? Oh, that's one other thing. Hold it. This is let me say one more thing. Okay, I want everybody to hear this. Got COVID and I lost my hair. What are you laughing at?
So you're certified or
2 years ago.
certified?
And then I got AFib. And I had to have the blazer for my health. I never smoked, never drank, exercised all my life. I weighed 165 in college. I weigh 165 today. I did AFib. Oh, anyways, that doesn't matter. Okay. I allow my master certification to filter down to the high school level of officiating, as I have served many times over the years as a meet director, referee, and starter. My goal is to Coach, this is for you. My goal is to encourage those who have a love and affinity for track and field to become involved by considering applying and becoming certified, many hats, especially the younger generation, and this would continue to strengthen our local association as we are aging. Okay? Try to get them involved in it. Certified through this gentleman. He's the one that made track and field a certification in this state what it was. He's the one that started it. He's our mentor. He's our go-to man. And we owe everything to you, Doc Zemper. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Yeah.
I can say at the board level, at the national office is implementing programs to encourage more young athletes who want to give back to the sport but aren't going to necessarily make it to some elite level to give back through officiating. It's a very noble, honorable, yes, thing to do, to give back to your sport. And so when you have a contact with a young athlete who is post-collegiate, encourage them to take an interest in officiating because it is gentrification of officials is a real problem. We're not getting.
What does that say? Get certified.
Yes.
Yes, it's certifiable.
Thank you,
So,
everybody.
just as a board member, I would suggest instead of just encouraging, you actually do recruiting.
Yes,
Because encouraging goes by, oh, okay, you just asked me, but you got to go out and recruit.
And there are some financial incentives too that they're providing.
But I don't think they know that. See, I don't think anyone
gotta
younger than me,
recruit,
they don't know, and they just sit back and watch. They say, well, I'm just gonna watch, because it's been taken care of.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Okay, how do you address me?
How do I address you, Coach?
Thank you. He used to call his dad Herb, and he used to call me Nick. I said, no better thing you can call me than Coach, Shelby.
Behind your back, we'll call you Mick. But not in your face.
Coach is the nicest thing you can be addressed as. Yes. Coach, how are you? Coach, nice to see you. You know? So.
All right, we appreciate it. Let's recruit.
Let's give Doc Zemper a hand, okay? Well, that's my story, and guess what? Sticking it here.